Good morning. For a moment today, think about what you really love to do. What is it that lets you feel something moving through you? For artistic types, creative types, that can be the act of creation, the painting, the playing of the instrument, the dancing, whatever medium you use. And for athletes, athletic people, it can be getting in that flow of just oneness with the moment and with the process, and being the ball or whatever. For other people, it can be anything. It can be cooking is what allows something creative and inspiring to move through you, or being in service to others in some way, cleaning houses, making beds, whatever it is, feeding people, can allow that feeling of something coming through us. What I'm getting at is those moments when we can feel in a way beyond ourselves and connected to something greater than ourselves. That is such a joyful experience. It's something that humans are designed to thrive with. This has come up for me today because I had this experience last night, and it's continuing through this morning as I hone it a little bit more. I discovered myself doing a practice, not so much like necessarily a spiritual practice, but a magical practice. As you may know, I've been developing a series of master classes, and one of them is on magic, manifestations, that sort of a thing, creating our own miracles in essence. And last night something came through. We tend to say I in this culture. That's how sentences work. That's how we can explain these things, but really I didn't do it. I was in the process of doing another thing, and this came through and said, try this. And it felt very effective. It felt incredibly real and powerful. It was very exciting. And this morning, I was practicing it through the night, and I was practicing it again this morning, just evolving the practice to a point of greater clarity so that I could share it with others, breaking it down. What am I really doing step by step? First is the inspiration, and then comes the sort of conscious part of the work. And I was realizing, I just noticed how I was feeling and how happy I felt, how good, how at peace with life, how enthused, literally, filled with the energy of God, enthused. And I thought about that would make a really good topic for today, because it's so easy to forget that kind of thing. We focus on, the ego. The ego just takes precedence. It just has a lot of support in the culture and in the world, and in the fact that we're in physical bodies. The ego has a lot of support. And so we tend to fall into its mode of thinking, which is not at all about getting in the flow or entering grace or catching inspiration or whatever you want to call it. we get into a mode of problem solving and looking for problems, and what I always call looking for the dark cloud in the silver lining. I see a lot of that. And we forget to do what inspires us, what takes us out of ourselves. Those where we enter that state of timelessness. This is a form. You could almost call it meditation. It's a form of meditation because it takes us beyond the ego, and it takes us outside of time, and it takes us outside of ourselves. What is it that does that for you? And can you do more of that? It may be that if it's been a long time since you've even really considered this, you may not remember what it was that does that for you, or you may never even have learned. There are some of us who get that squelched so early in life that we can't remember it. But we can always find it again, because it's fundamental to who we are in this incarnation. We come through with certain... There's always going to be something that links us up with the divine. There's always going to be something that allows us to let that come through. For some people, it can even be just as simple as love. As if that's simple. Not necessarily, but I mean, not in terms of an action or a doing. It can be a being. For some people, it can be meditation, or it can be... I remember when I was a little kid, my favorite thing to do in the world was to lay out on the earth, on the grass, and look up into the trees overhead and the sky beyond the trees. And that was all I really ever wanted. I could do that forever, just forever. And it felt really expansive, and like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Do you know that feeling? I'm remembering another thing that I used to do as a child in comparison that's not quite the same. But when I was 15, we moved to a farm and had horses of our own for the first time in my life. I had a little pinto pony named Coco, and he was a character. I'll tell you stories someday maybe, but the teen years were very hard for me on many levels, as they are for probably most of us. And the one thing that I think got me through was I would go out when Coco was standing in the shelter and eating his hay. I would go out and I would just, jump up on his back and lie down on him and rest my head against his, sort of his withers or his neck, and just lay there, or lie there, and feel the warmth of him and the aliveness of him and the heartbeat, and hear the chewing of the hay and smell that sweet, wonderful scent that I loved. And it was just so comforting for me. And it was one of the things I really loved to do. And at the same time, it wasn't quite letting something else through. It was very nourishing for my heart. It was very healing for my body and calming for my mind. But it wasn't really the timelessness or the expansiveness that is possible for us as humans. Which is to say that if you haven't found it yet, you might know things that are close to it that can lead you to it. Whew. Childhood activities and exciting things that excited you as a child are probably a good clue. So what did you used to do as a kid that you loved? What did you used to do that excited you? Your passions as a child are almost certainly going to be those things that take you beyond yourself, because that is what feels the best to us. And kids know that automatically. Like, it hasn't been kind of trained out of us as children yet. So we're still willing to and eager to give ourselves to whatever our enthusiasms are. So what's your enthusiasm? If enthusiasm is kind of a foreign word to you, that speaks to how it got squelched in you as a child. It might be a bit more of a challenge to recover that, but at the same time, it's going to be even that much more of a gift when you finally do. It's going to be even that more transformative and energizing an experience for you when you finally recover it. So it's worth it. Is there anything else that wants to come through on this topic right now? Just that it activates the heart center, which is the most important thing we can be doing as individuals and a planet right now, is activating the heart center and returning to consciousness from the heart, being aware in the heart. We often think of, people talk about being aware of the heart, and we kind of sometimes sit up in the mind and look down at the heart and think we're aware of it, we're watching it. But that's not what that means. It means bringing our awareness down and looking out through our heart, having our consciousness, our seat of consciousness in the heart center. So doing this brings us right there, to our conduit to divine energy and consciousness, to our deeper selves, our truer selves, our expanded selves. All right, I'm going to stop with that. I think that's probably caught the essence of it. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm grinning this whole time. I'm just so full of the fun and excitement and appreciation of having caught this practice, which is my wheelhouse, as they say, to catch these things and bring them through for other people to be able to use. So I'm just so enjoying that and so feeling wonderful about that. And it also helps me appreciate myself. And we often get excited about what we create or what we can do, but sometimes we kind of forget to remember that, to appreciate the we, the I, the body, the self that's able to do that thing, to appreciate and be excited about ourselves and not just what we can do. I'm working on that one too. That's a practice for me. But I don't think that should be the practice for today. Imagine what the practice would be for you today. And I'll come up with one. But if you come up with one, use that. So let's see. See if you can't remember or imagine what excites you, enthuses you, expands you, what takes you out of yourself, what gets you into that timeless state where you can't even tell how much time has gone by. You're not aware of time at all. And you're hardly aware of your surroundings because you're so engaged, so fully in whatever you're doing. whatever expands you and allows a higher essence, divine essence, or your deeper self, truer self, or whatever you want to call it, to come through you like a channel. So first is to see if you can't imagine or remember what that would be. And next, the best part is see if you can't schedule a little bit of that even into your life on a constant basis. If it's short, do it every day. If it takes longer, like a few hours or something, then do it once a week. Whatever it is that you have to do to make this work for you, but to create it in your system, in your daily life, like your plans for your day, that allows you to experience that on an ongoing basis and not forget, to remember how important that is to you. And then staying with the enthusiasm of it, as opposed to getting into the judgment or criticism of it, or those kind of mental processes. That's a topic for another day. But all right, we have our goal. I'm going to go continue mine, and I wish you all so much fun with yours. And please remember to comment below and let me know what it is for you, or how it feels, or any gems you caught from the talk. Those are always good too. All right, we're set. I will see you again tomorrow. Blessed be.